Hello, this is MS. You have hope. There is hope. I don't know why I always say that. Um, we're talking with Megan Sylvester. This is part two of an interview I'm doing with her about the Coimbra Protocol and about her journey through that, and also what she's doing now to maintain her health. And I guess that's it. Go ahead, Megan. Fill us in. I started about
Yeah.
month 9 on the protocol, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm guessing it was around that time is when I would really have the bad days and the good days. Like I would have extremes. Like there would be days where I would be fine, and there would be days where I didn't know what was going to happen. And that's honestly that's when I used to talk to John, and he would be like, Megan, calm down, you got this, girl. He would say stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I would be like, John, I don't know, it's not working. And he would be like, you got to calm down, stress makes it worse, and da 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 da. And it was you, me, and a girl whose name started with the K, and we would all kind of talk. You remember? I don't want to
You
say her
didn't
name.
say her name. I don't know who her name is.
Crystal. You don't remember her? Well, we would all like, she was going through it too, and you would help her too. And we kind of all kind of like gave each other
So if you're
hope.
watching
And
this and I don't remember your name, I'm sorry. Uh,
it's okay. You know what?
Christy. Christy.
No, Crystal. We'll talk about it later. It was a while ago.
Anyway,
Yeah. So you helped her too. But yeah, so we would all kind of like just be talking, and we were all on the protocol. So going through the ups and downs, and all of those things. And then it did get to a point, it got to a point where I felt fine. And then the days go on feeling fine. And then see, the thing is with multiple sclerosis is when you start feeling good, you forget that you felt bad.
oh
You
my
don't
gosh, yeah.
remember those days anymore, which is really
It
weird
was
because you
so
you I
bad.
remember people used to say that, but you don't. Like I remember it because I remember the things that I went through, but I don't remember how I felt exactly, because then I had those good days and I was back on the living. I
There
started
was one thing that Megan told me I'd never forgot, and that is she would get so tired that she would
Oh
pull
yeah.
over and
Oh
rest.
yeah.
And
That was one of my,
we
yep.
forget stuff like that.
That,
I
yeah, like
have,
I even just forgot about that because
yeah,
I'm a person that anybody knows me like knows I like to work out and things like that. And I remember I used to get so sleepy. I had to pull over on the side of the road and go to sleep, and
yes,
which is dangerous.
yeah.
And I was just going from school to my husband, because my husband would keep my daughter, and he had like a space where he kept her. And I would drive there, and it was only 15 minutes from my school. I would not be able to drive there. And then when I got there, I had to go to sleep there. And I would sleep 3 hours
Yes.
until like 8, 9 o'clock, and then drive home with my daughter because I was that tired. I could not work out.
Yes.
And I think even he forgot that. I remember I would be running on the treadmill. I had no energy. I remember, now that you reminded me, I remember that. And I remember being like, this is not normal, but I
I
still thought
used
it
to
was like
joke
stress.
that when I wasn't sleeping, I was dreaming about sleeping. I slept 2 times at least during the day. I had to take 2
Yeah.
naps because I was so tired.
I
So
was,
tired.
yeah. I
Oh,
and it's crazy that you just reminded me of that, because it amazes me how tired I was. Like right now, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, or I wake up
you're
at five
full
ten
of
in the
energy
morning.
now.
I
Yeah.
go to the gym. I work out for almost 2 hours. I come home, take my daughter to school, go to work, come back home at 4 o'clock,
It
make
runs a
dinner,
business,
go to sleep. And yes, when I go to work, I work for myself, running a business.
That's
So
stressful, people.
I'm actually glad that you reminded me of that, because I think even my husband forgot. because that was, wow, just to think, I'm just thinking of how far I came, with everything I've been doing, and just to know that a lot of the things that I'm doing, at least I'm improving, because that sleepiness was, I couldn't do anything.
That was by far my worst symptom was that I used to say that if a book was laying on the dresser across the room and you said to me, go pick it up, uh, or you would say to me, hey, you want to run a marathon? I'd say, why? It's the same thing. I mean, walking to get that book, I was so tired. I didn't even want to do it. And when I started getting better, my naps went to one a day, then to no naps a day. And now I only nap if I take an old man nap. You people know what that is. That's when you're watching TV and you wake up and you think, where the hell am I? What day of the week is it? You know,
Now, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I don't go to sleep during the day at all. Like there are times where I come and I'm tired, but you know what I mean? But not
normal
that
tired. It's a
abnormally
normal
tired that I
tired.
was before.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, oh my gosh, it was abnormally tired.
Was it
Like I
hard for
couldn't
you to
even
drink the water?
the amount of water that we were supposed to drink.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
really?
Yeah, I had to
Now,
work my way up to, you mean the water that we were required to drink for the Coimbra
yes,
Protocol?
yes.
Yeah, it was hard to drink that much water. But I knew that I needed to drink it because you have to keep basically filtering your
Yes,
kidneys and everything. So you
yes.
have to keep everything working. So it is really important that you are drinking enough water. And that's what any vitamins, like when you have a vitamins protocol, you have to drink that much water. Otherwise, your kidneys could be affected
Exactly.
because you just have to keep
Can you
making it filter through.
can you touch on a second about you said to me something one time about black people don't think they get MS. Can you touch on that for me for a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and honestly, other people may don't think that black people get MS as much as well. Like I
Really?
remember when, I mean, a couple of times, like there was a couple of doctors told me, "Nah, you don't have MS." And then there was when I went into the emergency room, I remember when I came in, I said, I think I have multiple sclerosis. I already knew. And she said, no, you don't have that. She looked at me again and she said, you don't have that. You don't have that. But things are changing. And we will talk about the like vitamin D deficiency in Black people, because we're just not outside as much. I mean, and if you even think about it, in the 90s and 80s, we were outside more. But anyway,
Yes.
yeah, just talk, like a lot of people didn't think that that Black people get multiple sclerosis. But at the same time, we also have to think about American Black people, or African Americans, whatever you want to call us. um we have ancestry anyway that's Caucasian. Many of us have a grandfather that is mixed with Black and white, or a grandmother, or a parent, or you know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, most of us can trace our ancestry back to having a parent, or a grandfather, great grandfather, something like that, that was Caucasian, or white, if we can just say that, because that's easier. But,
I don't care.
but
I used to give guys a ride home from work, and it was North City. It was very tough neighborhoods, the ghetto, if you will. And I was taking one of my friends home. His name was Jay. And I kept calling him an African American. And after the third time, he turned to me and he was disgusted with me. It was obvious. And he said, Africa? Africa? He said, I've never been to Africa. And I said, well, I'm just trying to be politically correct, and say what I'm, supposed to be saying, or he want to be. I said, what do you want to be called? He said, I'm an American. Call me an American. And I said, fair enough. And I never say African American to him again. But I've met other people that want to be called African
yeah,
American.
I was gonna say,
Call me
it's
whatever you
kind
want.
of, it's like, I mean, I feel like since we're talking about race, but like many Black people, look, even me saying that, some Black people don't want to be called
Oh,
Black.
I know. I know. Yeah,
They don't want to be
that's
called
true.
African American. They don't want to be called Black. And so,
Right.
if anybody, I don't even want to offend anyone.
Right.
I'm just trying to you make a point about who I'm talking
A
about
lot of
in
it's a
an easy
generational
way.
thing. My mother
Yeah.
would always say to me, colored. And I would look at her and say, Mom, what color were they? And she'd say, oh, you know what I'm talking about. And when I was growing up or in the Navy, we said black. Now it's African American. So a lot of it's the generation you're in. And it
Yeah.
might change again or it might settle there.
It's going to change again. It's changing. I mean, the more history that uh, African American Black people find out about themselves, the more we are changing
Right.
our description, you know?
Right. Well,
But
like my caregiver's from the Congo,
yeah,
and she, people might look at her and say, "You're African American," and she's like, "I'm African. I'm not American. I'm an African." And
that's like
so,
my mother-in-law and my husband are Jamaican. So of course, if you look at them, you would say they're African American, but they're Jamaican, you know?
all
So
right,
it's like, you
I'm gonna
know,
get us back on track
okay,
here.
yeah, let's get
All
back
right,
on track.
all right. Megan takes excellent care of herself with her diet and eating. I'd like to touch
I
on that, and
try.
I'd like to touch on what you do with your
Okay.
business to help people in that.
Okay, yeah. So I do, gosh, I've tried, and I know you have too, John. And most people with multiple sclerosis, we've tried so many diets. There's so much stuff out there that people say, and I've tried a lot. So at this point, I do a mixture of things that I feel works for me. And when I get off track, I can feel a difference. What works for me.
Especially
One thing,
sugar.
yeah,
With me, it's
that's
sugar. If I eat sugar, forget
it's
it. I get my hands get real thick, and I can
yeah,
tell I've eaten sugar.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, sugar for me is a problem too, and processed like oily foods, and definitely cheese. Like if I have a slice of
Yes.
pizza, I remember one day my son works at a pizza place, and the pizza is like the best in the city. And I ate a piece of pizza. Pizza used to be my favorite food before this. I ate a piece of pizza, and I remember in the morning I picked up a cup, and my arm fell down on the ground. So it was weak. Um, I don't need pizza. I don't know if it's the oil or if it's the cheese, but I stay away from dairy and I stay away from oils. I try not to eat a lot of saturated fats, which there's a doctor, Dr. Jelink, that's his recommendation. Also, the Swank diet, that's what they focus on is saturated fats. And I try to do that because I feel a lot better when I'm like that. But I do feel like what works for me may not work for you. So you
Now,
have to try
also
different things.
with your business, don't you sell like energy drinks or drinks that are good for you?
We sell soursop tea. So soursop is a herb that many people use for different health conditions, mainly cancer. So
Now, if
we
somebody wants
sell.
to get that from you, how do they get it from you?
They can go to my website, which would be www.greenherbsandjuice.com. And or also you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram. My name is at Miss Green Herbs and Juice. So you can find me that way. But and I also do colon cleansing.
No,
So
thank
one
you.
thing,
I'm good.
so one thing that got me into colon cleansing is I feel like a lot of conditions start from constipation, or those are some of the first signs of many conditions. And talking to many people that have had multiple sclerosis, stomach issues
A lot of
are,
people get constipation.
yeah, those are some of the main things. And sometimes, like me, like I stated earlier in the part one, that was one of my first, I felt like that was one of my first signs. And so our gut has a lot to do with the nervous system as well. And even with the vitamin D deficiency, I remember my Coimbra doctor asked me, do you have any gut issues before I started? And I said, I think they're fixed. And she said, And she said, okay, good. Because she said, if you have any gut issues, we have to fix that first. And so you
Yes,
have to think,
yes.
if you have a gut issue and you're taking high supplement vitamin D or any vitamins, and you have like, let's say you have leaky gut, I mean, it's just going out. So you're not
I had
really getting rid of it.
terrible, I had terrible acid reflux for 25 years.
Oh
And I
wow.
went on, at first I did level 3 of walls, but I cleansed my gut and
Okay.
my GERD went totally away. It's like,
Okay.
it's amazing. I can eat any food I want now. I
Yeah.
try to eat. Coimbra doesn't really promote a diet other than a low calcium. Now, people, I
Yeah.
said low calcium, not a no calcium diet. But I
Right.
tell people this: eat healthy. You're not
Yeah.
going to hurt anything, and you're going to
It's not
help
going to
your
hurt
body
anything.
be able to absorb the magnesium and the other
Yeah.
supplements that you're taking.
Yeah.
Well, so you've gotten through this now. When did you start the protocol? You started 2019 or 20?
Yeah, 2019 or 20 is when I started. It was either 2019 or early 2020 when I started the Coimbra Protocol. Yep. Yeah.
And so after when did you stop talking to your doctor or just like, you know, I'm through this now. People, I'm
So,
not the poster boy for the Coimbra protocol. And it's because you probably should stick with your doctor a few years. And
yeah.
I'm not going to tell you if I did that or not. I'm just going to say I'm not the poster boy for the protocol. Here's the big thing: give it time.
Time.
You know, uh, a lot of people quit before 2 years. I was almost 3 years before my disease stopped.
Mhm.
And Megan has known me now probably 3 or 4 years. And she said how I was doing better. Well, I don't even remember that, but that was 3 or 4 years ago. And
Yeah.
you slowly gain things back.
Yeah.
How much do you gain back and when you gain it back is the per the individual. But you continually gain things back, and it might just be a little bit, but you may notice something. Now, last year I had my heat intolerance went away. I could go out and
Mhm.
sunbathe again in direct sunlight, and that was after 4 years, and
Yeah.
that was amazing to me. I was just blown away. But anyway, you'll get continually better. Anyway, I took all this over. I don't know where we was at, but
I felt like for me it was more stable. I felt more stable. Like the ups and downs that
yes.
stopped, and I just started to feel better. Like I said, I still have some things that a lot of the things that I had from the very beginning when MS
Yes.
started coming at me, which was a little bit of the drop foot and the hands. My hands
And
were
we
always
don't know how long you had MS before you were
right.
finally diagnosed.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people say, when were you diagnosed? Like that, a diagnosis is not
Exactly.
when you had it. You know what I mean? That just means
Exactly.
when you realize, when someone, well, when
Exactly.
a medical authority realized that you have it. But yeah, so what were we talking about?
Well, we could trace symptoms back for myself 25
Mhm.
or so years,
Okay.
and you can say, well, that could have been MS. And it's true.
Right.
It's true that way with a lot of people. What I wanted to say is that you were talking about you might still have a slight symptom or something. People, that's completely normal. There's
Yeah.
something called old injuries. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's scar tissue or what.
Yeah.
When you're under stress, especially, they'll come back.
Yeah.
When I'm stressed, my hands go numb. And
Yeah.
that's an old injury that I had from day one, from 2013 on. My
Yeah.
hands, when I would get stressed, would go numb. And to this day, that still happens. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, thank God, but what she's saying is that, yes, uh, her progression is stopped. Occasionally, she might have a flare up or something, but what that is it's not multiple sclerosis being active again. It's an old injury that she has to deal
Yeah.
with.
And that's what I meant by some of the things that like were my first symptoms, are before I even started the protocol. Some of those things are the things that I deal with. And speaking of things, like I remember, and like this was probably 5 years before I was even diagnosed, or at least 3 years before. I remember waking up one day and my foot was numb. And who's to say that wasn't multiple sclerosis? Because I remember it, I know, and I like blatantly remember it because it was so weird to me. Because I remember I was like, I woke up and I'm like, my whole foot is numb, but it kind of went away. And so who's to say that it wasn't
Same thing happened to me.
starting from back then, you know?
Exactly. I took a bath one time and my left leg and left foot went numb. And heat, a lot of times, will cause symptoms to flare.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening to me.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's all I got. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's all I have. I just would like to encourage people, especially, I mean, everybody. I would just like to encourage everyone to do your research.
Absolutely.
You know, look at what's going on. Don't just take what one person says with, like take that and run with it. Read different books. I've read so many books. I've become like a scholar at this point because I've read so many books on diet, and I
Exactly.
read what this person says. And even with diets and supplements and things like that, try and see what works for you. You're going to have to try different things, you know?
Exactly.
Um, and that's what being holistic is about. It's not easy, but it is worth it if you want to try to do the work. Of course, like people like John made it easy for me. There were other people that have made it easier for me too, because I have people to talk to. But search out these
Right.
people, because there are people who are willing to help you for free.
And
Don't go with
that
those
list of
people who are
people
trying to
has a
charge you
program.
$1,000 and stuff. Someone tried to charge me $3,000 to join a group for multiple sclerosis. They did not have multiple sclerosis at all. It was for mental and emotional health. And she told me, and you know what? I listened to what she said, and I said, you are dead wrong charging people with multiple sclerosis $3,000, because you know that people want to be healthy so
That's
bad.
right.
You know that people want to get better. You're taking $3,000 for somebody that's sick. And then she said, and she was like, well, I got many people. And I'm like, it's wrong to charge people like that. It's wrong. Even if you know that they have multiple sclerosis, and you can, I mean, I understand you might need something, but $3,000, like, don't go with those people. Those people, there's so many people. I'd say that's another thing. Did you encounter that too, John? Like, so many people coming at me telling me they can help me, but for $1,500 and this and that, and
Here, well, let me give you an example of the cost factor. I'm not picking on the Walls protocol, and Terry Walls
oh
would be the
yeah,
first to say this. But if you eat organic, it's expensive, and not
it is.
everybody can afford it. And I tried, and she'll tell you that that's all you can do is try. But if you can't do it,
Let's try.
get the next best thing. But that's expensive. But people are willing to spend the money because they want to get better. The
I
Coimbra
know. I
Protocol
know.
is going to spread. And this is why people are going to get better, and people are going to get better without spending a lot of money. Somebody once accused me of trying to get people to my YouTube channel, which has 370 people right now. And I'm like,
Okay,
even
and
if I
I
got to
mean,
1,000, I'd make $20.
that's what
20.
people do for YouTube. But I mean, you're not doing. I mean, I've known John for years, you guys, and he's literally doing this because I can tell you, when I was sick, he did not know me from anybody. I'm in a whole nother state to him. I didn't know him at all. He was in a wheelchair in his house, and this man like sat on the phone and talked to me while I was crying. Didn't know me from anything. You know what I
We
mean?
all cry,
So yeah,
and
we yeah, so we so there's people that will help you, You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Search out, you have to search for these people who, you know, really been through it and can tell you, you know, truthful information as well, you know?
And I'm
But
going to throw out there, I know Megan would help anybody that
definitely, I
wants to
help a
drop
lot of
her line.
people.
And
Yeah,
she's willing to help. When you've been through it, people, when somebody comes along, your heart goes out to them and you just want to tell them. I wish that I could tell every person, I could grab them by the ankles and say, please just try this. Just
yeah,
try it. And, Denise Meadows did that and she's better and she's back at work. And she took the challenge, but I challenge anybody just to try it. It's not rocket scientists or science. It's
yeah,
really very simple. And that's why that doctors can't grasp this because it's so simple. But I'll tell you what, people, it works. People want to get better, and I'm here to tell them there is hope, there is a way. You know, when you get diagnosed, they don't give you any hope. Here, take this
yeah, they don't.
medicine. Here, take this medicine. And it might slow the progression of your disease.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, anyway, we can both gab. Me and Megan are going to do further interviews. I especially want to touch on the sport. I don't know why I just scratch right on the interview. I especially want to touch on African Americans not thinking they
That's what
can
we were
get
supposed to, that's
MS,
what we were supposed to be talking about.
and we'll talk on that. We'll touch on some other things, but I really want to touch on those things. And people, if you want a good energy drink, get on Megan's website and order some
It's
stuff.
not energy drink, John. It's sour stop tea, tea,
Whatever
tea,
it
tea.
is, it'll give you energy. Anyway, all right, Megan, it was great to see you. And you know
Yes,
what?
it was
It's
nice
great
meeting
to
you.
see people after years and just, I remember the first time when I talked to you and you were just more serious. And now
Yeah,
you're jovial and you're happy and you got a smile, and that's the greatest thing. I don't make any money doing this, but I make a lot of
yeah,
smiles, and that's worth more than gold to me, because I've been
yeah.
there. I've been there. I know it's like, all right, Megan, I'm gonna get off here before this cuts me
Okay,
off. All right, take
okay.
care.
All right, bye.